Good evening, race fans, and welcome to Chicagoland Speedway, where we are going to watch the Underdog Racing League tackle this mile and a half for 120 laps. This is Carl Pooler up here in the booth, joined by Zach Hall and, of course, Robert Moyer Jr. in the production booth. And this is going to be a fun race, Zach. This is definitely a kind of a unique mile and a half, really long sweeping corners. Tire wear going to be definitely important as we see some of these drivers really struggle to tackle the multiple lanes of this track, and if they are going to succeed, they're going to have to figure out all lanes because all these cars are going to want to fan out and find that space in clean air. So we have a great night of action planned. Anything before we get to qualifying that we should maybe keep an eye out for?
Well, it's definitely going to be an interesting qualifying session here for these guys trying to put the fastest lap down. Just seeing James Catrone there do a little bit of a spin cycle there before we head off into qualifying here for 5 minutes to put down your fastest 2 times. And yeah, I've been watching a few drivers out there. A very tough track out here tonight at Chicagoland for these 120 laps, and putting down that first time on these cold tires, it seems very, very tough. Let's see what these drivers can do. First off pit road, there's the 53-year-old Robert Rader there. He's going to be pulling off on the exit of the apron there. But yeah, Carl, definitely a interesting racetrack here. We raced it last season here at the Underdog Racing League, and the winner was James Loveland. So we'll see what he can do. Rader right here, this 53. He was the second place driver in that race. He led 11 laps. Trevor Earhart was able to bring home third. So it was a pretty close battle for majority of that night. 18 lead changes actually. So we had a great race last time we were here at Chicago.
And Robert Rader, one of those drivers who's had the momentum in the latter half of this season, locked in, ready to go, and just wanting to have a kind of just a clean performance tonight, not get caught up in anything like we saw last week at Milwaukee. We had North Wilkesboro, the other W there. We saw a lot of carnage with the short track racing. Obviously, tonight we are at the intermediate mile and a half here at Chicagoland. So these guys are having to mix up their strategies a little bit and mix up their driving styles. So we see Robert Rader take a really, really high arc and then to hit that inside line, and as he goes off of turn 2 there, being able to arc it out of there. So these guys, there is really one preferred line that'll move up through the race, but this is a track that's wide enough for some multi-groove racing. 3 wide, I feel we're going to see. So don't look now, but I have a feeling we are definitely going to be in store for a lot of fun during these restarts. As we see Robert Rader, looks like he's going to be there in third at the moment and get knocked down by Mark Whitley a peg there. So Robert Rader in fourth. He didn't have quite the qualifying session he wanted last week, and he's looking to turn around this week.
Yeah, going to look to turn it around indeed. And he's, of the last 5 races we've had here, he's the driver that has 2 wins to his name. So great last 5 races for Rader. He's really come on strong here in the final portion of that regular season. But yeah, Mark Whitley, we've seen how strong he's been all year long. And right now up on top of the board along with Kevin Orlando Jr. there with a great time. And Ian Baker was showing a lot of pace there in the practice session. We'll see what he can do. And the driver looking here qualifying, this is Jason Finsler here in the 5. And, looking back at last season, this was a track he actually struggled at. It was actually a tougher day here. Didn't really have the speed that he normally had at majority of the racetracks. We'll see if that lingers again back here, because I tell you what, the tracks could get very, very differently from season to season. And right now, putting himself 18 on the board, but this is going to be the money lap here as he goes for it on this qualifying run.
One thing I've noticed, just some personal observations from myself, is this track is you got to hit the line perfectly. You got to save those tires, because if you dive too early, you just put too much pressure on the right front. If you're too late, you're trying to overturn, and you're going to have a possibility of spinning out and whacking that wall. And we know from last week that you don't want to do that. You cause a lot of carnage further on in the pack with everyone checking up, and just the lack of room to go, especially on corner exit, because turn 2 and turn 4 there, it narrows down so quickly because you want to carry that speed, and that's what these guys are going to be battling all night long. As we see, James Loveland looks like he's put in a time, and he sits there in the 4th position with a 30.77. Jason Fensler, of course, topping our charts at the moment with Mark Whitley close behind him, only 0.04 of a second behind. And Ray Lane looking again in the top 3 starting spot. So some normal characters, some not so much. Kevin Orlando Jr. there so far with the top 5. So these guys putting down some really good laps already early this session.
Yeah, great times being put all around for sure. Here's more times come through. There's Trevor Earhart. He had a very good run here at Chicagoland, showed a lot of speed that really kind of led the momentum into his championship last season. Was at the Chicagoland Speedway, so kind of similar to what happened last season. He didn't have his momentum till right near the end of the regular season. It could be a great way to turn it around here tonight for the 25 Trevor Earhart as times continue to come through. It's going to be Earhart here, I think, slowing down as he's going to come to pit road after he's got his qualifying lap done. Right now, 25 drivers to put in times. Only driver yet to put one in is John Magner, as I believe Thomas Stanley is our race control.
Definitely, John Magner. We've seen him some lights of brilliance, but mostly he's kind of been mired. He's been caught up in a lot of incidents. But with that, looks like qualifying is over here at Chicagoland. So we're gonna look at our starting grid here momentarily. Of course, Jason Fensler leading the field at the pole position. Mark Whitley right outside of him in second. Ray Lane in third, James Loveland in fourth, and Trevor Earhart, as we were talking about, in fifth. Kevin Orlando Jr. sits there in sixth. Ian Baker in seventh. Robert Rader in eighth. Brandon Cawley in ninth. And then David Buell rounding out the top 10.
In the 11th position, it's going to be the 3 of Jacob Sekovich. 12th is going to be the 33 of Justin Stunner. Parker Johnson's going to be in the 13th position. They're starting in the 48 machine. 14th is going to be Joey Stiers. 15th is going to be Grant Thorpe. As we look, the 16th is the 24 Nick Alves. The 17th place is the 9 of Justice Murphy. 18th place is going to go to the 4 of Blake Cook. 19th is going to go to Cody Dorsey in the 84. And rounding out that top 20 is going to be Tyler Dingler in the 19 machine.
21st is going to go to Martin Morales in the number 2. We have James Catrone in the 38 in 22nd. 23rd is going to go to Scott Kerborg in the 14 machine again. And the 99 of Dylan Walterman is sitting there in 24th. And Christopher Heights rounding out the field that qualified in 25th. And like you said, Zach, John Magner did not put a time, so he's going to sit there in the back of the pack for the start of this race. So as we are sitting here, we've watched a lot of these cars move around, get really, really loose, but over the run, it's gonna tighten up. Those tires are gonna start going away, and the corner entry especially is going to be super important because you may want to have to drag that brake just a little bit in the run, and that's going to be one of those things. You drag it too fast, drag it too much, you're going to slow down way too much. You're going to lose too much speed. But if you don't, you're going to burn those tires up in no time. So this is definitely going to be an interesting one to watch, and as always, strategy is going to be important. We saw a couple of cars last week kind of jump the stage, try and work for that track position, and it worked until the very end with some cars on old tires getting caught up and trying with an incident with cars with newer tires. So already, and we see Ray Lane there on the bottom of the apron. Looks like he's going to get an EOL penalty. Dylan Walterman's going to get an EOL penalty. So they are going to drop to the back for the start of this race. But, of course, Jason Fensler leading the field, Zach. With this restart, we see Whitley and Fensler. They've battled all season long. They are going to be door to door and seeing and fighting for that first spot because that clean air is so important.
Yeah, we've seen how important it's been, especially in a car like this, where you can pull away. You don't really see as much of a pack racing aspect to this racing. So sitting in the car, you try to get out front as soon as possible, but you got to watch out for those tires. This track, very, very abrasive, and it will be a tough night if you go out there and try to run qualifying laps each and every lap. Got to be smooth and fast here if you want to hold on to the track position. We got the 5 and the 6 up front who have been the dominant cars a majority of this season. We'll see who can break that dominance. You got Ray Lane, who got that penalty to go to the back of the field. He'll see what he can do to get back up here. But James Lovin, our winner, he's right there in the top 4 also.
And Ray Lane is one of those cars I'm going to keep an eye on. Had a great shine last week, but here we go. Pace truck is off onto pit lane. Cars are lined up. Flag is in hand, and there we go. Green flag is waving. Cars are off, and already Jason Fenzer just edging the front of the 6 of Mark Whitley, and Mark Whitley decides smartly to dive down there into second place, getting those tire tracks, but it looks like he's going to make a move to that outside quarter panel. He has the momentum going down the back straightaway, going into turn 3, and they are door to door going into turn 3. Mark Whitley with that outside line. Can he hold it? Looks like he's going to hold off the 5 of Jason Fenzer down the front straightaway. Mark Whitley, despite starting second, will lead the first lap here at Chicagoland.
What a job by the 6 machine to work the outer groove to make that work. And oh no, one car up into the track of the wall. That's David Boyle up in the 52. He's dropping back quickly there in that outer groove. But Trevor Earhart, he was the beneficiary of that restart. He slides up to 3rd. James leveling up to 4th here as we continue through 3 and 4. But Whitley quickly to the lead, and that's what you want to do here, Chicagoland. Get out front as soon as possible and see what this run can make.
Oh, definitely, as we are looking at the 19 of Tyler Dangler battle the inside there of, looks like David Buell, who had that incident. And we haven't seen David race in a couple of weeks. He may be trying to shake some of that rust off, but definitely already struggling early on in this run with whacking that wall. Shouldn't be too much damage. You should be able to fix that in a little extended pit stop at the end of the stage later on, but that means he has 30 laps total to go till the end of this stage, and we are already on lap 4. So, as we see, we are already lap 4 under caution for incident. I don't know, I think that looked like the 01 of Brandon Colley having an incident. He's one of our faster drivers, and he cannot make it stick through the front stretch in that tri-oval. So that's such a scary situation to get caught up in, Zach, and going through the tri-oval. It's not 100% even, and it's so easy to get turned around there. So already this track is acquiring a little bit of a list on some victims.
Brandon Colley just took a head-on smack into the wall, and that was contact from Ian Baker. So looks like maybe Baker thought Brandon Colley was going to go to the apron there, made the commitment to go down the racetrack, just caught the quarter panel of the 01 machine on the right side, head first into the wall, and that seems like possibly not the night over, because he's had a tow here and he does have a fast repair, but he's going to go a couple laps down due to this here. That's going to be a tough break. He's got to fight back. We do have stages there at lap 30 and 7.
And that is so interesting. We noted earlier how wide this track can be, but these guys are right on top of each other, trying to manipulate the air, force some air on the spoiler, do some side drafting, and that's just that moment where your spotter isn't quite telling you clear, but he hasn't tell you he's there yet either. So that's just one of those situations where you just don't want to get caught in that blind spot, and that's just what happened to Brandon Colley there. But definitely, we are on lap 5. Looks like we're turning on to lap 6, so another 25 laps left in this stage. And then stage 2, they are going to end at lap 70. So this stage, especially with a caution, we look good to be on fuel, but the second stage may be a little different. Only time will tell, and we have a lot of racing to go between then.
Definitely got a lot of racing to go still here as we continue to pace, but yeah, Brandon Colley's still sitting on that pit road, just trying to hope the tow ends and he can use that fast repair to fix that race car. Man, that head-on hit right there destroyed that thing, and Ian Baker even, I mean, it looks like he was the he's the one that made the initial contact there with him and Brandon, and it didn't really affect his car too much, but he's lost a lot of track position here as he's all the way back to 24th.
One car that's gained a lot of track position is that 44 of Ray Lane. He sits in 15th after those 4 laps of green after starting in the back of the field. We had 25, 26 cars, so he's already gained 10 positions from the start of this race, and he had a 3rd place qualified time, so we know he's fast and can make it up there. But that's one of those incidents where you got to be careful, because that was in front of him. You don't want to get caught up in that incident. We see some of these drivers, looks like they're going to start lining up here to go green, and yes, looks like the lights on the pace truck are going to go out, and we are going to go side by side again. But now Mark Whitley is in control of the field. We know he had a great first lap, was able to take the lead from Jason Fensler, but Jason Fensler, a restart king, and you know how fast he can get to launch. Maybe he can use that ability and maybe, just possibly, get around the 6 car on this next restart.
He's gonna have to try to do exactly what Mark did. So yeah, he'll be in that spot there. We'll see what Trevor Earhart, James Loveland could do from the second row. Stunner up from 12th to 5th there. So great job for him. Parker Johnson 13th to 6th, Sekovich 11th to 7th. So a lot of big movers there, as we had a few guys with those EOL penalties and hitting pit road there. So definitely some interesting strategy being played here early into going to stage number 1 there at lap 30.
And another one, Nick Alves sitting there in 9th, started 16th. That incident really shook up the field. The EOLs, only a couple of EOLs were handed out, but man, that wreck there on the front stretch really shook up the field and allowed some of these guys to kind of get up front. Like you mentioned, Justin Sternard, he's had a really, really rough season. If it weren't for bad luck, he would have no luck at all, as he seems to always or either get caught up in something or maybe just get loose and lose the handle on the car. But good to see him running in 5th there, along with Parker Johnson, qualified 13th, sitting there in 6th in the 48 machine. So these guys looking at the front of the field almost rarely, as we never see him up there unless it's strategy. But these guys already racing hard and seeing the fruits of their labor.
Yeah, definitely seeing a pretty good gain in track position. That's got to put a smile on a few of these guys' faces who didn't have the best qualifying times to put themselves in the positions they wanted to be here. But it looks like pace truck lights are off here, Carl. We're about to go back green flag racing here as they come out of turn 2. And Jason Fensler here in that same spot that he see Mark Whitley pull that move on the outside around him. We'll see what he can do. The first green flag is the best chance for you to do that, as the leader does not have priority when to go because they have to wait for that green flag. So it gives you that best shot to be able to do that. I think Mark Whitley going to be able to jump out at his own digression here, and it should help him be able to clear that 5 possible.
Definitely, but you never want to count the guys behind him out. James Loveland won here last season. Trevor Earhart, last season's champion. So there's some heavy hitters out here that we haven't talked about for the majority of the season that are looking to maybe turn their luck around and get a win or possibly at least a good finish. But as we watch there, the pace truck is off the track, and already the 6 car getting a launch, not wasting any time in bringing the 25 and Trevor Earhart with him. Jason Fensler looks like he may lose another spot going into turn 1 to Trevor Earhart, but he's starting to fight back on that outside lane. Exactly what Mark Whitley did to him on that first lap, Zach, so you called it. He couldn't quite gate up on the 6 car, but on the 25, he did just fine. It looks like he's going to make that pass back into second as we go green. But all this traffic behind him, James Loveland looking to do a crossover move on the 25. 25 had a great restart, but couldn't hold it through the first couple of corners, and he is already losing might be under attack, losing a spot from the 56 of James Loveland with the 33 right behind him.
And you're seeing these two teammates attack each other here. You're going to have Stunner, who's trying to make the most out of both of them side by side here to try to make something happen in this 33. He's done a great job to get up into the top 5, along with Parker Johnson there directly behind him in the 48 machine. You're going to see some great action going on here early in the going here at Chicagoland.
Oh, and I was just looking back there up in 8th and 9th. There was some battling 3 wide. Jacob Sirkovich taking it 3 wide back there, and they are still fighting. There's Jacob Sirkovich, Nick Alves, the 23 of Joey Stiers, and Justice Murphy, the 9 car, all battling for about 8th position. This is really interesting as the Jacob Sirkovich seems to come out on top so far. Ooh, looks like he had to chase it up the track just a little bit. Had to get off that throttle, and that is going to let this whole gaggle of cars gain position and gain time. And as we see the 24, Nick Alves take that inside line with Joey Stiers right behind him. Don't look now, Justice Murphy looking to the inside of Stiers. These guys are all over each other. We see Stiers had to chase that car up the field. So these guys already having troubles handling their car early on in this run.
And you got Tyler Dingler there also in the 19 machine in that car up high. He's trying to fight the 9 of Justice Murphy. And this is a heavy group here. And they make contact, Murphy and Dingler there at the front straightaway line. And that's going to be heavy contact between those two with Ray Lane directly behind the 44. This this group has stacked things up, and they're still battling here coming off of 2.
Oh, it looks like we have the 19 going into the backstretch in the field, but we say green. So far, they're going 3 wide, and that was Justice Murphy. Looks like they had a little bit of contact, might have had some hurt feelings on that front straightaway and just decided to finish it. But here we are, 3 wide, and it looks like this is 410, so this is already planning out for this stage. We are halfway through this stage already, despite that. Oh, as we see the 9 get loose and try and save it. What a great save, but he is definitely going to lose some spots. So already this track proving way more than a lot of these drivers expected, and they are having to really pedal that car around these corners to not spin out or make contact with their other competitors.
Man, oh man, this is going from bad to worse for Justice Murphy there after that contact on the front straightaway. Right there now, slipping back after getting hit by Blake Cook in the door by the 4 machine, heading down there in the 1 and 2. And now Justice Murphy just trying to hang on to what he can. As he's got Boel, Ian Baker here also all stacked up right here on top of each other. You got Morales Jr. coming in the 2 machine. So this group here all battling really, really strong for these positions back and around the 18th and 19th spot.
This is fantastic racing, but don't look now. There is a battle for the lead. Jason Fensler's gone to the bumper of the 6 machine, and he is taking that low line just a little bit further than the 6 of Mark Whitley, but Mark Whitley has that high line hooked up. The 5 not over yet, but these guys battling hard side by side. As we see, it looks like another one getting to the wall there. That looks like maybe the 38 of James Catrone getting in the wall, but there's the 52 David Buell and the 9 of Justice Murphy. These guys trying to gain back time after incidents. David Buell getting into the wall a bit earlier on, having to lose a lot of spots on a restart, but he is trying to claw his way back to at least that 10th starting position that he started in, but that is right now in 17th. So these guys looking to move forward with plenty of racing left to go. We still have 24 laps left. I'm sorry, 14 laps left in this stage. That'll wrap up at around 30, and these guys battling for every point. This is some great action here, Zach, but how hard can you push it without, burning up those tires too early? Even though you have a caution coming up soon, it's still, you'd be amazed how quickly these tires fade.
Yeah, you got to say tire wear is going to be a big factor here on a lot of these guys' minds, especially nearing lap 18 like we have here right now. It's going to be a huge factor to see Morales Jr. there, the 38 controlling the 9 of Murphy here, as it's been calamity back here for majority of this racing, and now Morales going to make the pass there in the 2 machine and go around the high side of Murphy.
And these guys side by side in front of them, looks like that is the Robert, maybe not Robert Rader, but these guys really battling hard. Starting to kind of single out, but it makes it hard as we see already the multi-line racing. The bottom, the middle line, the high line isn't quite coming in yet. I think a lot of those guys are a little worried about it. Still cool, still really slick, but as we watch Morales make a move, there's Christopher Heights in the 21 trying to make a move on the 38 machine of James Catrone. Justice Murphy there. I don't know if it's the damage he has, but he doesn't quite have the speed that he wants, and he's just falling back further and further. And right now, one driver to make and take advantage of that is the 21 of Christopher Heights. And right now, he is on that bumper. And Justice Murphy under attack constantly so far early on in this run.
Yeah, he really has been, and I think that damage definitely has played a role as now Heights looks to the inside. You also got Catrone there, not too far behind. You got the car 2 laps down to Brandon Colley, who's out there on the racetrack after using his fast repair. He's going to, like I said, 2 laps down. If he can stay right there in that 2 laps down, he should get the lucky dog this time here at lap 30, as long as Tyler Dingler, who's 17 seconds right now behind our leader, Mark Whitley, as long as he does not go a lap down here within the next, last 9 laps here of the stage, it should be no problems for Brandon Colley to get that lucky dog. But we'll have to see right here, right now, because right now he's the only car a lap down.
And that can be so important. Yeah, he's 2 laps down, but 2 laps isn't impossible to recover if everything plays out his way. He has the 2 stage breaks. Never know what incidents could transpire on the track, as we're watching these guys really fan out going into one. And they are all on top of each other. We see the 4 Blake Cook there, the 52 David Buell. These guys racing hard, and it looks like Martin Morales is making some gains. James Catrone there on the bumper of the 9. trying to push him down the back straightaway. But see these guys highline. Oh, we see Brandon Colley there. He's trying to keep himself away from going another lap down, but it's so dangerous the way these guys are driving. You don't want to end up in another crash, and he's out of fast repairs. We know that, so any other damage done to him, any terminal damage will end his night for good, as we see him just skirting along with these guys not giving an inch, and already just racing really hard. So this is roughly for 15th, 16th, as we see Kevin Orlando Jr. right there. These guys not giving an inch, and this is only the first stage. Like, this is wild.
Yeah, this is wild, and this is not even for points. You know, right here where these guys are at, it's 4 seconds up the roads for stage points. Nobody here is going to be competing for stage points. All these drivers just trying to get any bit of track position they can, though, before that stage ends, for when they come down to get that pit stop service. But you see Morales up ahead. I think he may have had a mistake up in the 2. This checks it all up well. The 4, Blake Cook. The 9 of Justice Murphy. The 27, Orlando Jr. The 21 of Christopher Heights. All in the picture, along with Sekovich and the 38 of Catrone.
Sekovich must have gotten into the wall. He was up there quite a bit, up into 14th, and now he is going to fall way back down to 17th. So he lost a ton of time with that mistake, as these guys are all on top of each other, which is wild. We have the top 10 cars, top 13 cars, all singled out, all spread out, and all these guys on top of each other, racing for pride and racing for bragging rights, saying, oh, I didn't finish that bad. Well, there's the 27 of Kevin Orlando Jr. trying to make the move on 15 of John Magner, with the 3 of Circulation behind him, but the 38 of James Catrone in front of him. So these guys not relaxing at all. But they're all really clustered, and I think that's what this aero package really does. With these guys so far away from the lead pack, they're really trying to draft off of each other, but that lead car in front is breaking all the air and getting slowed down the most by that airflow. So these guys all trying to take advantage of it, and like you said, the stage break coming in a couple of laps. These guys are looking to have a good pit service. Oh, looks like Justice Murphy had to save his car there, but these guys looking to try and survive at least to the stage break and maybe make some moves when that green flag drops for stage 2. As we go 3 wide over the line with John Magner taking the middle side.
Oh, man, again, Blake Cook up top in the 4 there, and it's been all around Justice Murphy tonight. He's definitely had, I guess you can say, the most exciting stage 1 there, as it's been mayhem all around him there for these positions back in the field. But up front, Mark Whitley controlling right now, but Jason Fensler here, as the laps continue to close out here, as we're narrowing down. It'll be 3 to go when they cross the line this last time by. Mark Whitley, though, he's got some pressure. Jason Fensler was a couple tenths back. He's now on the back bumper for the lead.
And James Loveman is just sitting there in 3rd. Nowhere near striking position, just trying to ride out this stage. But behind him, Trevor Earhart in 4th. Maybe possibly looking at that 3rd place, but man, Jason Fensler took it down low through 3 and 4, crossing the finish line. They are bumper to bumper for the lead here towards the end of this stage, and we are on lap 29, so these guys racing really hard for this stage win and all those bonus points it may award. And there is the 5, and the caution flag is out there on lap 29. Might have had an incident possibly, but looks like this is going to definitely be the stage. So already, Zach, a lot of good racing, especially in the back of the pack. I didn't quite expect that. Expect a little more fireworks in the front of it. The guys later on in the back half not taking it easy.
Yeah, I think that was meant to be the stage caution, but maybe just thrown a little bit too early. So, just maybe 1 lap too soon there for that caution. But yeah, this is what's going to make this even more interesting about this, is now they're going to have to stretch the fuel for that next stage. But Mark Whitley looks like he'll win the first stage. Good on him in that 6 machine there, Carl.
Yeah, that is definitely going to be interesting for the next stage. That'll be an extra lap of green flag racing if it comes to be. But until then, we will let these guys get their tires, get their fuel, and we will be right back for the beginning of the second stage. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We just concluded our first stage, and we are under green for our second stage here at lap 37 at Chicagoland Speedway for the Underdog Racing Series. We saw a first stage dominated by the 6 of Mark Whitley, but the real racing, the real action-packed racing has been here further on in the pack for as wild as it is, 13th, 14th, 15th, that's all these guys are racing for pride and racing for some bragging rights, and they are not giving an inch, Zach. But these drivers really still struggling with the track a little bit. The groove is widening out, but you don't want to get too close to that wall, as we have seen so far. 2-3 cars get into that wall and acquire a little bit of damage, but so far, for the most part, besides that one caution on lap 4, for instance, it's been relatively clean, as we see the 48 of Parker Johnson go up on the past the 2 there on the low line, but can't quite clear it. So these guys not giving an inch and already hard on the throttle, and we already know that's the 44 of lane, but we know that it's going to be tough on field for these drivers to make it to the end of the stage at lap 70. So with that early stage break, one lap can make all the difference with the field, and we are going to see it here come to fruition here in a few laps.
Yeah, it really can make a difference there, Carl. And man, look at this though. New players that we got up in the top 10. There's a lot of guys we've seen battling farther back. One of those Martin Morales Jr. there in the 7 machine. Martin Morales, he's been really quick there, driving up from that 21st start position, along with Dylan Walter, 24th there, the 5th for him, running that top group. Great run for him in that 99 machine. Also, Ray Lane got that EOL. He's driven his way back up here to the top 6. So a lot of new players here coming up into the picture here as this stage, or stage 2, continues on here.
And then we see there the 48 of Parker Johnson trying to take the low line again on the 2 of Martin Morales, and can't make it work. And you know, one thing I love about this track and the way these drivers have to drive, and it's not straight. There is no real actual straightaways. We see the 99 really ride that high line against the wall, but stay out of the wall, which we haven't seen much of. Typically, that's been the danger zone for a lot of these drivers, just tapping that wall a little bit, but 99 making it work in 3 and 4. He had a lot of momentum there, keeping in front of the 44 of Ray Lane and hunting down the 56 of James Loveland. So these guys figuring out this track and not letting it get too overwhelming for them. But man, that's one thing about this back straightaway. It is slightly curved, so you are constantly putting the wheel into these cars and turning the vehicle to make it go, and just keeping that speed is so important. And it looks like the 99 has got kind of a rhythm and figuring it out.
Yeah, it definitely does. He's using that outer groove, and that's where we've seen Dylan Walter in the past be able to make really speed happen. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him up near the front using that to his ability here. And right now he's got Ray Lane though, he's really charged up from that back to back, along with Walter who started back there with him. It's been a race of drivers pretty much driving through the field all the way up to the top 5, as our top 4, they've been kind of solidified. Mark Whitley, Jason Kinsler, Trevor Earhart, James Loveland. Those 4 have all been kind of in the same position for majority of this race. But I tell you what, this whole positions of 5th on back has been an ever-changing door.
Oh, definitely. And even, you know, with the 44, he's been able to stay almost door to door with the 99 of Dylan Walterman running that inside line. But what makes me worry is how much pressure and stress that's putting that right front under. It's really hard to run that low line consistently and quickly without tearing those tires up. And the 99, I think, has the right idea. He's letting the 44 kind of get up to him, but he's not adjusting his line. He's saving those tires for a little bit longer run. Again, this stage is going to lap 70, so we have another 25 laps to go. And, you know, depending on the fuel status, will you have to refuel just to top off, just to finish the race? Will you take 4 tires? And this is where we're going to see strategy really play into this race, and we're seeing it right now with the 44 and the 99.
Yeah, strategy, I definitely feel like it possibly could kick off. And the way that stage crossing, the way it was thrown, I think the fuel mileage is definitely going to be too far for these guys. So I think a lot, your strategy could have been to save a little tire, but I think that could have been the wrong strategy to do. Unless you felt very confident about saving the fuel, I would have saved nothing on this run. It's now about 30 to Loveland trying to take it to the 25, and Earhart is now the 44, trying to pass Walterman here for that 5th position.
And this is where it's going to get interesting. You're side by side. You got to make the pass quickly. You don't want to slow yourself down. You want to get it. It looks like the 44 is going to clear him on the outside of 2. So here we are, not by much. So the 99 giving him a good shove down the back straightaway. And it looks like that's the 8 of Ian Baker looking to capitalize on that move as well. Staying within the tire tracks with that 44, going around the low line. And looks like he's going to also clear that 99 and take that position at the start finish. So, and that's another thing you mentioned about the fuel strategy is the 99, while he may be saving tires, he is not saving fuel. He's taking that long way around the track. He's putting more throttle into it to keep that momentum. And while the guys underneath him taking the shorter way around the track, saving just that much extra fuel and not on the throttle near as much. But it looks like the 8 couldn't quite make that pass, has to fall back. And these guys making that low line work for him, but the 99 not giving up. He has that momentum on the high side, and he's running it for all it's worth, keeping it up there even through the trial, but not going down on the apron. He's using the track surface and keeping that momentum, keeping the 8 behind him. So Ian Baker having some struggles making that pass on the 99.
Yeah, Ian Baker very strong in practice. Just hasn't been able to get that done there for that pass. But Ray Lane, who made the pass on Walterman not too long ago, he started to pull a little bit away. He's going to try to track down our last season champion, Trevor Earhart, and see what he can do to possibly get himself up here into the top 4. As Loveland was able to make that pass for the 3rd position, but I'd seen the gap here ever changing for the lead. Jason Fensler, he was dropping back there early in the go with Mark Whitley. Whitley went out there and did a sprint on the tires, and right now Jason Fensler out in that 2nd position, really starting to turn some quicker lap times than Mark Whitley here, looking very, very strong.
Well, we saw in the first stage, though, he got up to the bumper but could not make the pass. I don't know if it was either Whitley just blocking off the line, cutting off that fresh airflow to get the aerodynamics, put that front downforce on the track. But whatever reason, when Jason Fensler got up to the 6 car, he couldn't make the pass. So he may get up there. It looks like he gained another 1/10 of a second on our leader. But I think the real hard part is making that pass and making it without causing too many issues and not, bumping the fenders and causing some of these loose cars to get even looser. But we see the 27 of Kevin Orlando Jr. there sitting way back there in 19th position, fighting once again Justice Murphy. Justice Murphy has kind of been the magnet for all these cars, whether to get around them or to dodge them, either way. But man, Justice Murphy is having a night on his own, kind of doing his own little race right now.
Yeah, he's had a magnet to him, man. It's been a lot of action around him, jam-packed, and this run here seems to be a little bit more calm with a little more spread out action. You got also the 0-1 of Brandon Kiley along with Joey Stires there in the 23, who that is for position the 23 and the 9. But the 0-1 there is 1 lap down. He's trying to fight his way, like I said, to get that lucky dog, but Nick Alves is crossing the start-finish line now as Brandon Kiley's just about to enter 3 here. So it is a sizable gap for Brandon Kiley in that 0-1 to try to drive up there along with Christopher Heights and Parker Johnson, who are right now also the 2nd and 3rd car lap down, while Nick Alves looking to hold on to that lucky dog spot when we get to lap 70. But we'll have to see, does pit stop start to happen, or do we see these drivers be able to stretch the fuel? I'm very curious to see how this is going to work out. But right now, even Mark Whitley up front, he's going to have that 5 also once again growing in the mirror, as the 5 is looking to get stronger and stronger as the run goes on for that number 5 of Jason Fensler.
We're going to have to keep an eye on this fuel game because, Zach, we've called a couple of races so far where they have fallen on fuel strategy, and it's been really crazy how it's worked and how some of the drivers like, well, I didn't realize it would work until it worked, as we see the 0-1 just trying making a move around that 9 machine. He just wants to stay that first car a lap ahead, and there's the 23, Joey Stires. He's caught there down in 19th now. Justice Murphy in 18th, but the 0-1 just trying to keep as many cars behind him so he doesn't have another incident that he's going to have to recover from. But yeah, in another 15 laps or so, if he can stay that first car a lap down, that's a lucky dog, and that's on the lead lap for him. And we know he has the speed to carry on with some of these leaders, so it's going to be interesting watching him. But as we see the 53, Robert Rader tucking in behind the Oh, I didn't see that, but there's a 4 Blake Cook there. He's also trying to follow these guys. That's a 33, looks like, of Justin Stunnard, and looks like the 53 is going to make that pass. So Robert Rader struggling a little bit here at Chicagoland.
Yeah, Robert Rader, not having the greatest night after finishing in the top 3 here last season. So definitely a difficult race for him. But look up to Ray Lane in the 44 machine. He's in that 5th position. He's trying to track down Trevor Earhart, but Trevor Earhart has a sizable gap back to him around 1.2 seconds. It's right now, it is James Loveland, actually the fastest car on the racetrack at a 333 in that 3rd position. So running very, very well as that man in 3rd as we look back here again at the 9 of Justice Murphy.
And, you know, being 3rd and having the fastest lap is great, but he's over a second and a half behind. He's going to be really hard pressed to make up that time in these next 13 laps before that stage caution comes out. But someone who will have a shot is Jason Fensler, only a quarter of a second behind our leader there. About 5 laps ago, he was over a second behind, so he's really put on the burners there and made a march towards the front. If this does come down to green flag pit stops, there could be a battle for the lead in pit road. But as we watch now, there's the 01 of Brandon Colley tracking down the 23 of Joey Stiers. Joey Stiers looks like he might have made that pass on the 01. Again, not from position. The 01 is still a lap down, but Joey Stiers mired all the way down there. Looks like he is 14th, and looks like we have green flag pit stops already happening. So 10 laps to go in this stage, and green flag pit stops coming out. This could open the door for some strategy fuel, only 2 tires. It could be a mixed bag when we go green at the stage at lap 7.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens right now. Nobody has flinched from the lead up front as you're looking at the 77 of Grant Thorpe there in the Portello 77 machine there. Stiers goes around him for the 13th position. That pushes the 23 up as 77 dropping back here pretty quickly here. The tires seem to be fading away from him here as the end of the stage nears. That battle for the lead, though, again, heating up here near the end of the stage as Jason Fiddler closes it down. It's about almost 0.2 of a second here as they're hitting pit road up front here. Mark Whitley and Jason Fiddler, both drivers, hitting pit road.
And you got to be flawless. I keep mentioning, keep harping on it just because it is so easy to do is make a mistake on pit road. We did see a couple weeks ago, Jason Fensler actually got caught speeding. So did Mark Whitley, got caught speeding on a green flag pit stop. So you don't want to have that happen again, especially under green flag conditions. The damage will be minimized somewhat at the 1.5 miles, and you will go a lap down. So you don't want that to happen. And right now, James Loveland is in the lead for the moment. But that changes right quickly as Earhart takes over that lead. So with green flag pit stops coming, the stage break coming in about 8 laps. Zach, do you think they're gonna some of these drivers are gonna stop at the stage, or are they gonna try and stretch it through that 3rd stage and see what they can make happen?
Yeah, it's a good question. We could see some guys here elect to go to pit road as late as possible here, take 4 tires fuel and stay out at the stage. Or like we just seen our leaders of Mark Whitley and Jason Finsler up front do, they came down, they took a splash of fuel only. They're just trying to get to the end of the stage, then pit when that stage caution comes out, get their tires thin. But right now, it's a mixed bag of strategies out here on the racetrack. This is going to be fun to see who gets it done now. Trevor Earhart, the leader who is out there, he pits from the lead, as we'll see who else is elected to come down the pit road here as it cycles through. As we're watching the 27 Orlando Jr., he is yet to hit pit road also.
And some of these guys, of course, trying to do the long game, especially back in the pack, you can use the draft, get out of the throttle early, save some of that fuel. And that may be what we're seeing here with some of these outlying cars trying to maximize stage points and better solidify their playoff picture. But these guys not looking to show. There's a 33 of the 4 of Blake Cook. There's a 3 of Jacob Sirkovich. Looks like he's on new tires, going to power around this group here, but these guys may be trying to stretch that out for those stage points, because right now it looks like this is all for I can't really tell. Looks like a 5th, 4th, right around there. So these guys fighting hard for points in this second stage with 5 to go. So there is no rest for any of these drivers, as the mixing strategies is definitely mixing me up just a little bit.
Yeah, it's easy to get mixed up out there when everything is transpiring out there on the racetrack right now. As we look at the 33 Stunner, he's going to be the third place car now. As Magner, Raider actually he hits pit road into 53, but Magner out front, Stunner still stays out. Stiers, Blake Cook, along with Kevin Orlando Jr. at top 5, Justice Murphy, all the top 6 they're staying out. Grant Thorpe back to 7th, he's still going to stay out there. Also, then you're going to look back to Mark Whitley, who did take a splash of fuel. He's about 10 seconds behind John Magner. He's got a couple seconds gap back to Jason Finzer. Look like he's able to hold on to that gap, but James Loveland was actually able to jump Jason Finzer in throughout all this, and this is going to set up a very interesting circumstance when we get to the end of this stage. What will the rest of the field do? Is right now it looks like the 15 of Magner are in pit road.
It, and to make it even further interesting is Brandon Colley, who is definitely trying to make up some spots, get that free passes down 2 laps again with the green flag cycle. So if he can't find a lap here within the next 3 laps, he's not going to get on the lead lap when the stage ends. We see the 27 Kevin Orlando Jr. dive to pit road to make his stop. So here we are, the 23 and the 33 making a run and not pitting yet. They are staying out, and there's the 2 of Martin Morales trying to make the pass on the 38 of James Catrone, 52 Dave Buell right there. So these guys, knowing that the stage is ending, trying to do what they can, and there's James Loveland, Grant Thorpe, all trying to make it to the end of this stage at lap 70. So across the line, it should be lap 68, 3 laps to go here. These no breaks here, as we see Jason Finzer, as you mentioned, only take a splash of fuel, so he's on those old tires. Going to be interesting because we are going to have some more pit stops when the stage ends here in the next 3 laps.
Yeah, and I think we're going to have some guys try to cycle through and hold some good track position. I think there's drivers like Justice Murphy, who's actually just ahead of Mark Whitley there in the 9 machine, and he's up the second due to this. Justice Stunner, who's holding that, and I think he's coming down this time here, as it'll be 2 to go on the stage when we do cross the line for Murphy. And Murphy's going to stay out this time. So Murphy's done a good job here. He stretched it so far that he may be able to get to the end of the stage. This is going to set him up very well for the end of this race.
Very well indeed, and with all the action that was happening around him in the first stage, a stage win in stage 2 would be fantastic for him, because he knows maybe not be quite in the points talk as of yet, but definitely a stage win can boost your confidence and, you know, just give you that extra little to finish off this race. As we see the 44 of Ray Lane there down in 8th, it looks like, and he's just trying to ride out the rest of this stage as well as all the other drivers. So this strategy looks interesting. Oh, and it looks like we have a pit stop by Justice Murphy, so Mark Whitley will resume the first position here for the Underdog Racing League to finish this stage, quite possibly. So we see Justice Murphy there, James Loveland, and then Jason Finzer trying to track those guys down as well. Just one of those situations for Justice Murphy where he just couldn't quite make that fuel run as long as he wanted to. And these guys just tried a little bit and just didn't quite work, but there's still a lot of racing left to go as we are on lap 71. This caution stage break going to come out any minute now. So these just trying to ride it out, and there it is. There's the caution for stage. So Zach, already strategy mixing it up, mixing the field up, and some of these cars tried to make it happen and they couldn't. So the third stage will be extremely interesting.
Yeah, and Justice Murphy actually did stretch it. He did not hit pit road, but he is rolling on the back straightaway out of fuel right now, unfortunately. So he's having to roll that car around the apron right now. Hopefully it's got enough just to get him back to his pit box. Hopefully as he's rolling on the apron of 3 and 4 right now, he should be good, but all that track position gain he was probably hoping for is going to exit out the windows. Yes, he does still have power underneath the cars. He's getting a little bit of power here at the end as it stumbles with every little bit of fuel he has left he's trying to use. So interesting job here by Justice Murphy, but he may possibly even go a lap down due to this.
And that'll be unfortunate. But these guys, we know the 5 right there, the Jason Fensler only got fuel. So these guys are going to come down, top off on fuel, and get some tires. We will let them get some service. And until then, we will be right back with this third stage here at Chicagoland. And welcome back, race fans. You saw it, non-stop action. We are green here in stage 3. These guys are tearing up the track here at Chicagoland. So we see them side by side, low line, high line, mid line. It is non-stop racing here. You see the 84 Cody Dorsey trying to pass the 38 of James Catrone, which in turn is trying to pass the 3 of Jacob Sirkovich. These guys, it is all on the line right now. We have roughly a few laps left in the race. This whole stage is to be 50 laps. We saw some cars trying to do the fuel strategy on the last stage and run out as that caution was coming out. So this is going to be interesting to see how these guys plan out their pit stops here, Zach, in this third stage.
Yeah, definitely from what we've seen there, Justice Murphy stretched it the longest anybody's probably going to be able to do tonight. He's back in 19th, unfortunately, due to running out there as the stage caution came out. He had to roll back to pit road. Luckily, he didn't go lap down. He's on the lead lap still, so he can still fight back from that. But, man, tough break for them there. It almost worked out very well in the 9 machine. But, yeah, nobody going to be able to make it on fuel here. It's going to come down to when you want to pit. Do we get a caution? What do we see here in this final portion of the races? It's going to be about a 45-lap run down to the end for these drivers. So, we'll see what they can do, but Mark Whitley, he's had control of this race for a majority of the times right from the start of this race. But Jason Finsler, I mean, he's done the thing where he's backed up off of the same tires early in this race. But right now, he's done the opposite. He is all over the back of the 6. I think he notices he needs the clean air, and he's trying to get it early into this run here already.
And Robert Rader, one of those drivers who's been struggling all night. But this is all a battle for 9th here. We have the Nick Alves in the 9th spot. The 21 of Christopher Heights trying to pass as well. There's the 3 of Jacob Sirkovich there. 84 Cody Dorsey in that purple car. There's the 38 of James Catrone. These guys are all over each other. And then behind them, the 53 of Robert Rader. These drivers not giving an inch. As you mentioned, the front of the pack is kind of singled out, but the majority of the racing has been back here 10th and beyond. As we see Jacob Sirkovich take that spot away from the 38 and the 21, who are still fighting side by side with Cody Dorsey kind of stuck behind him. And Robert Rader under attack by Justin Stunner. Justin Stunner, we talked about earlier in the run, he was one of those cars that are trying to attempt that fuel mileage race in stage 2. He's done really well for himself tonight, so good on for the 33 as he makes that pass on the 53.
Yeah, Stunner, great job there to get by Robert Rader, who's having a struggle of a race like we talked about earlier. He just hasn't had the speed here tonight. He's one of his, Dorsey slowing up high there. He's going to drop back a few spots there. Must have got up into the wall somehow there. Might have been even contact, but I tell you what, the driver who's putting some pressure on is that 5 of Jason Finsler. He's continuing to hound the back bumper of our leader up in the front. And Mark Whitley has not folded yet. We've seen this race be able to hold on to very strong competition between him and the 5. But he's going to have to do it here for the final portion of this race if he wants to get this win here down in here in Chicago.
Definitely seeing, I guess, what they used to call tandem drafting. We see it's 1 and 2 spots on each other. 3 and 4 of James Loveland and Ray Lane are kind of battling with each other. Behind him, there's Dylan Walterman and Trevor Earhart trying to battle. And so it is Ian Baker behind him as well. So like I said, these top 7, 8, 9 cars all strung out. But starting in 10th, it's a little more hectic as we see a lot of these drivers battling for that 10th position. Actually, that's more like 12th. But, could be closer, but you never know. Robert Rader trying to make the pass on Justin Stunner, who passed him earlier, and just not having any luck there. And I've been watching Robert Rader take the high line, take the low line. He cannot find any grip or any speed on this track. He just seems to be going backwards. Didn't have a great qualifying session, but it looks right here down the back straightaway, taking the inside line away from the 33. 33 going to take that outside lane, and it looks like the 53 is going to make that pass. So there's some good battling between those cars and all the cars behind him. Joey Stiers right there, and Cody Dorsey, Tyler Dangar, all those guys back there just trying to scramble for positions with whatever is left of this race.
Yeah, this whole group here looking for whatever they can get. But I tell you what, it's been a great race between a majority of these drivers back here side by side. It's been tough for our leaders, though. They have not been able to make passes on each other. They get side by side for just a few moments, and it'll slip back. That's what I've been noticing with Jason Fensler while we've been watching back here. He's been able to get side by side with Whitley a few times. He just has not been able to get the job done. It's just very, very tough to make it happen here as these guys are very, very quick. And right now, James Loveland actually looking to show some pretty good speed along with Ray Lane here as this run continues to close out.
And we were watching there the 8 of Ian Baker trying to take 6th away from Trevor Earhart. So some of these guys moving around. Ian Baker started 7th. He's currently running 7th, so he's doing really well for himself. But that Trevor Earhart started 24th, up in 5th, so he has had a great run tonight using the strategy, using the fuel run. And as we are talking here, here's the battle for the lead. Once again, Zach, you mentioned it. Fensler can get to the side of him, get to that quarter panel, but just cannot make that pass. It really slows both of those cars down, and with all this battling is going on, the car behind him, James Loveland, has slowly been creeping up. He's made up about a half a second within the past couple of laps, so if Jason Fensler and Mark Whitley keep at it, it may be a three-way battle for the lead here in the next couple of laps.
It very well might be. I mean, James Loveland has been very quick, along with Ray Lane, who's driven from the rear of this field after getting the EOL, and right now, the 6 has the pressure of the 5 to the back bumper. Going to look to the inside here on the back show. Just not enough there yet this time. And what he's going to have to do is he's going to have to get to the outside, but Mark Willie's been smart. He's been placing his car exactly right in front of that 5 machine, trying not to let him get to that outside quarter panel, and that's what Jason Fensler needs to do. He needs to get right to that right rear quarter panel, but Mark Willie trying everything in his book to hold him off here. As, I mean, they are nose to tail as close as you can be.
And it looks like Jason Fensler tried to back up that corner just a little bit, hooking that inside line, getting on the throttle just a little bit earlier, trying to carry that momentum down the back straightaway. And once again, nose to tail, and don't look now, but that is the 56 of James Loveland right behind him. He won last season, and he is looking to capitalize on these two cars battling in front of him. And then behind him, Ray Lane started this race with an EOL penalty, and he is sitting there pretty in 4th. With all of these cars starting to battle, and there is James Loveland. So we have a three-way battle so far for the lead, and give it a couple more laps, and I have a feeling that 44 will be right there mixing it up with them.
Well, it's about to turn a three-way into a 4-car battle here as they head down the back straightaway into 3. And Fensler, he's been trying everything in his book, but the thing is his tire's probably very, very tough and hot right now just due to the fact that he's been trying to make moves and trying to make something happen in this 30 air. Loveland, who's been playing back here, he may have a little bit cooler tires here, be able to make something happen here. We'll see what he can do as he goes to the inside. Look at this, Fensler misses the corner, gives up the bottom. Look at this, Loveland with the great pass there coming off of 2. He's going to take second there coming down the back straight. What a job by him.
And I'd almost be a little worried for Mark Whitley right now, because you mentioned it. James Loveland has been able to save his tires and just kind of cruise up to the back of the 5. Ooh, looks like the 5 is having issues. Oh, looks like he's going to come down into pit lane and pit early here. Lap 94. That was lap 94, beginning of lap 95. So with 25 laps to go, James Loveland is going to pit, but here is the battle for the lead here with Mark Whitley and James Loveland. James Loveland has made up a ton of time getting up to the bumper of the 6, and right behind him, Ray Lane. As I mentioned, he definitely has recovered well from that EOL penalty, and James Loveland taking the high line, and it looks like Mark Whitley is going to make the dive to pit road now. So we have James Loveland in the lead and in control so far in this stage, and we have 24 laps to go. So this is already mixing up some of these leaders pitting early.
Pitting early, indeed they are, and man, this is right in the window of when I thought it would happen. You know, it's under 25 to go. This is a perfect time to hit pit road, and man, Jason Fensler, he felt like it was go time here. He needed to get it done if he's going to try to get ahead of that number 6 machine of Mark Whitley. We'll see if he can try to make something happen with these tires here with the 1 lap fresher tires. But man, James Loveland here, he's going to stretch it a little bit longer. He's had the long run pace, and I think he's seeing that he could possibly here just go a little bit longer here, take those fresher tires and try to run this group down here in the closing laps of this race. It could work out, or it very well could backfire here for him. It's either going to be a podium or bust.
You know, I'm definitely interested in the race between Mark Whitley and Jason Fensler, that one lap difference of tires. Zach, we were racing at Iowa in the trucks Monday, and I know those one lap tires can make all the difference, and it can be really wild. And that could actually be the race with Jason Fensler having those fresher tires. Could be really interesting in seeing where these other cars, like the 56, and when they decide to pit. So pit time, as well as what you pit for, fuel, tires, whatever, could mean all the difference here. But looks like James Lovin's going to keep it in the lead, keep it in that fresh air. A lot of the field has pit, and here comes the 56 and the car behind them. So these guys pitting early, getting ready to top off their fuel tanks for the rest of the run of the night. And we are about 23 laps to go in this race. So after this, they'll be good on fuel. And we did pit on lap 70. I'd imagine they took tires. Zach, do you think 2 tires would be a viable option at this point?
Ah, man, that's an interesting strategy, Carl. I personally don't think so. I think you're going to want 4 tires to help you out in the most situational position there. But Ian Baker is staying out as Loveland has hit pit road this last time by. But I tell you what, with the way this is all shaking out, Jason Fensler got out ahead of Mark Whitley, but those two are racing side by side. As they're going to be passing here. You'll see behind Ian Baker here, it's going to be those two battling for position. This is going to be for the race win here, and possibly the driver that tries to hold off Ray Lane or James Lowe.
And right there is an example of 1 lap of tires. 1.5 miles less of wear on that 5 machine, and he was able to make the pass he has not been able to make all night long. So it's just a wild sport that this is, and how a single lap can make all the difference for the lead. But these guys racing hard in the 6, not done with the 5. The 6 has had speed all night, been able to pull away, been able to kind of manage that gap all night long, and it looks like he is not going to let the 5 off the hook that easily. He's going to get to that quarter panel in turn 3 and dive down hard onto the inside, trying to make the pass and get back that clean air and the lead. And it looks like he's going to do it coming out of 4. So once again, after a short kerfuffle with the lead, the 6 is going to take it back from the 5.
Yeah, with 20 to go, he takes the lead, and what a time to do it. And 1 lap fresher tires on the board of the 6 machine on Mark Whitley. He's now going to try to set sail and try to pull away from this 5, who, he played the game of he's going to go in there a lap earlier than Mark Whitley to try to jump him. He jumps him, but could not hold him off long enough. This lets Mark Whitley now get to the lead here. And with coming to 19 to go here, Jason Fensler falling back a little bit. You're going to have Ray Lane there in 3rd, but James Loveland, he's going to have a little bit of work to do. He's got Dylan Walterman up ahead of him also that he's got to get by. I don't think Loveland's going to have enough time with the fresh tires.
And it's going to be interesting. We still have 18 laps of racing to go. We did have a kind of incident caution at lap 4 early on in the race, but otherwise it's been clean besides the stage cautions. But again, there's a lot of time for things to happen, and you never want to count anything out. And James Lovin's just going to have to drive those tires as well as he can. But he was able to stay out a couple laps more than these other cars, so that could be another deciding factor between that podium and 4th place. So we will have to see, as James Catrone's still on the track and technically leading this race, and this battle behind him with Mark Whitley and Jason Fensler about 9 seconds behind Catrone. So Catrone trying to stay out and make things happen. You never know. Drivers sometimes can spin out, come into pit road, cause a caution, but I don't see that happening tonight, as it looks like James Catrone is the only one not to have pit so far. So this may backfire on that 38 machine.
Yeah, he actually just left pit road there, so now Mark Whitley going to transition himself up to that lead position. Jason Fensler up to 2nd, and Ray Lane closing that position down for that 2nd place as we close down this race. Ray Lane looking to drive from an EOL position up into the top 2, and if anything happens to Whitley, he could be in position possibly to win this race here as he's running that 5 down here in the closing laps.
Yeah, that 5 machine, he has some decent fire-off speed, but cannot keep that car under him on the long run. Just doesn't have the pace to keep up with the 6 car. That 44 of Ray Lane has really impressed me all night long. He's kept the car clean. He's kept it out of the wall, been able to drive up here to a third place position, and looks like he's going to get to the bumper of this 5 car and maybe make a move here in the next couple of laps. And we are at lap 105 with 16 laps to go left in this race. This is going to be a wild battle for second place. As we've seen Jason Fensler try to battle to pass someone, how was he going to react to being passed? And there it is. 4th caution of the night on lap 106 for incidents, and this is going to really shuffle the field around here, Zach.
Yeah, and it's Brandon Colley there going around, getting a little bit of contact from the 3 of Jacob Sekovich, and he's going to send him around. And, man, that is a tough break for Brandon Colley again, getting sent around in this race, and that's going to bring out the caution. Is going to change the whole picture here, as everybody going to be probably looking to come to pit road to get some type of tires.
Oh, definitely. And this is going to bunch up the field and see who can do what. Fresh tires. These guys did pit about 10, 12 laps ago, some of them. So the tires are going to be definitely something to watch. But as these guys get racked up and get their service, we're going to give a shout out to ButtKicker. Every game deserves a truly immersive experience, and the ButtKicker Gamer 2 lets you feel every detail. From subtle footsteps to the rumble of a V10 powered race car, environmental effects, and the power of a nearby explosion. It moves a physical mass instead of only air, so the Gamer 2 provides an instant, accurate, powerful bass response. And it's perfectly in sync with every game, no additional software required. ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Use the discount code FreakyFast20 to get 20% off your entire order. Go ahead and check them out. But as we see here, Zach, all of these guys coming in, and I'm going to raise that same question to you I mentioned earlier. 2 tires, yay or nay?
You know, Carl, I'm thinking this could be a time for 2 tires. Someone like James Lowen, especially, he pitted not too long ago. I think a 2-tire stop here would be the way to go for track position here. We'll see what happens, though. It looks like most electing for the 4-tire stop. Looks like Dylan Walterman may be the only one that has elected to take 2 tires here, and this is going to shake things up here. We're going to have a restart coming down to the end here, and we're going to have a whole mixed bag of strategies.
I'm looking Ian Baker out front right now. This is, like you mentioned, a real mixed bag of strategies. Ian Baker's kind of hovered in the top 10, top 7 whereabouts, but now he's leading the field, pacing the field, and this has got a lot of implications for the rest of this race, as the 44 was gaining so very well on the 5, and he has just got to be hating the timing of that caution right now, because he knew if the race could have gone green, he was going to make that pass on the 5 of Jason Fensler.
Yeah, I think for these guys, it's got to be a very interesting scenario right now that's going to play out. I mean, they're going to have Walterman ahead of them in the 99 here with that strategy call. You're also going to, I believe, have Ian Baker there. I believe you're also going to have Jacob Sekovich stay out in the 3. So you're going to have 3 cars that the 6 and the 5 who have had the lead for majority of this race that they're going to have to get through. They have not had this all night long. They're going to have some tough times here getting past these cars who are going to be trying to go for a win here in the closing laps of this race. This right here has opened up a whole new picture here for a lot of drivers tonight, as they're going to be trying to get as much heat in those tires here to attack those older tires ahead.
And you definitely see him swerving back and forth there, ladies and gentlemen. That's exactly what Zach was talking about. They're trying to create that friction and kind of do a power heat to those tires, get them kind of warmed up. Because these tires, when they are cold, they are hard. They are slick and kind of hard to control. You got to be really careful. So as racers, they're always trying to get any edge that they can. And so one of the things that they can do is weave that back and forth and just heat up all those tires. Ramp the throttle up real hard to warm up those rear tires, kind of spin them up a little bit, clean them up. But like you said, Zach, this is going to be interesting to watch, because it looks like I'm seeing a little bit of front end damage on that 3 of Serkovich. So not only do we have tires, some 2 tires, no tires, some of these drivers did wait till later in that green flag cycle to pit. So they're already on fresher tires and maybe already warmed up. So as you mentioned, this is going to be a can of worms that we're going to open here, because we have 2 of the fastest cars all night long behind some other cars using strategy to keep them up front.
Well, I tell you what, this is shape up to be some type of a finish here. I don't know who's going to be able to pull this off. This is opened up the door for a lot of drivers out there because I don't think, this is a chance here that we may see another caution. We're going to have cars at very different speeds. Baker's got about 5 laps on those tires. Sekovic, he pitted last time at lap 94. So, I mean, he has got a major amount of laps on his tires. He's been very slow with some damage on that front end also. He's going to have the 6 of Whitley behind him. And you have Walterman on the bottom on the 2 tires. I mean, it's a mixed bag there. Pace truck lights are out. We're about to go back green flag racing here. And if they can close it out here without agreeing, this race is going to be a epic one, let me say.
And right now, the car looking the best is that 6 car only in the second row, high side. He's going to be able to make some ground if he can clear the 3 going into 1. But that 99 machine is going to be really interesting to watch as well on those 2 tires. And the 8 of Ian Baker, we've talked about him, but here he's going to have to back it up. The pace truck on pit road, and the 8 is off already, crossing the start-finish line. 10 to go here at Chicagoland, and we are fanning out 3 wide already going into turn 1. Seems like Dylan Walterman did not get the start he wanted, but there it is. We see the 44, the 53, the 56, and the 3, all 3 wide, going into 1, coming at it 2, and there's the 53 trying to shove the 44 down the back straightaway. This is already shaking things up. Ian Baker still in the lead, followed by Dylan Walterman. Jason Fensler sitting there in decent position, but falling back quickly as we see Mark Whitley on the outside going for second.
Yeah, Mark Whitley going for second here, but Ian Baker out front. He's trying to drive away with 9 to go here. Walterman on the 2 tires, not able to hang on to that spot there. Loveland gets by Raider. It's all going backwards here now. As it looks like Fensler had contact between him and Walterman that sent him up into the wall, and that was a tough break there for both of those drivers. It slowed them both down. That shoved Whitley up to second. Baker, though, he's going to be coming to 8 to go. He's trying to run for his life on those older tires here as they fired off pretty well here due to that cooldown cycle. We'll see how it works out for him here as they continue off into 1.
And right now, tires, fuel, it's all out the window. It's all about that checkered flag, and these guys are racing like it. We see Dylan Walterman's balancing and steadying himself in 4th position with those 2 tires after some contact with the 5. Ray Lane battling back from an EOL in a podium position. Mark Whitley, the fastest guy all night long, has been able to lead the most laps, sitting there in second with about half a second gap between him and the first place car, and that gap is closing very, very quickly with those 2 tires. Ian Baker cannot wait enough for these next 7 laps to expire and just let him win it, but it does not look like he's going to be able to do it as the 6 of Mark Whitley is chasing him down rather quickly.
Yeah, Willie chasing him down, but Baker doing a great job of holding what he can. Loveland going to get by the 99 of Walterman there in 3 and 4. He's positioning himself up to the 4th position here. Now, what can they do here? 6 to go. Another caution out on the racing surface, and this is going to change a whole lot here as Kevin Orlando Jr. is backwards on the front straightaway here, and unsure exactly how that all happened there. I believe him and the 33 of Justin Stunner may have got into him.
And that is what Ian Baker did not want to see. He had a decent enough gap. He could have tried to maintain and block and defend, but this is going to rack him up again and put that 6 car on the side of him, and he does not want to see that. So this is really, really going to mess with the strategy that that the 8 was really working for. As they get all around the track and all settled again, we're going to give a shout out to Advanced Sim Racing. Advanced Sim Racing was founded in 2020 and is the fastest growing North American racing simulation chassis manufacturer and digital motorsport equipment retailer. They are owned and operated by passionate sim racers like you and me. They design and build the sturdiest, most durable aluminum racing cockpit simulations available on the market today. They source premium grade materials through the United States and Canada, and it can offer high quality rigs without any weak points and, most importantly, zero flex. Go ahead and check them out at advancedsimracing.com. Use the discount code FreakyFast5, all spelled out, to get 5% off your entire order. So, Zach, we have another caution late in the race here, getting racked up. The 44 is looking in a good spot. The 6 is looking in a good spot. The 8, not so much.
Yeah, you know, I'll tell you this much. I personally, I feel like this caution's helping him. You know, that right there gonna cool the tires down. He's gonna reset this. Gonna be able to, you know, control the restart here. Go when he wants to go, which really is gonna help him, especially if he can get Ray Lane, say, in that 44 and that 6 of Whitley fighting into 1 and 2. That's gonna give him a good shot here, and also he's gonna have less laps to defend. Before he was just about to be getting caught by the 6 machine. He just got saved by the bell there, I think, a little bit. This right here sets him up where I very easily think he could be in position to not only win this race, but easily bring home a top 3. Let's see what Baker can do. It's going to be a tough spot, but man, can he get the first win of his season here? That would be just in the nick of time for him.
A shot in the arm, especially as the Underdog Racing League is counting down to the playoffs, and that's what exactly Ian Baker would need, is a great win, a great point stay, and just kind of solidify his playoff berth there. But man, I don't know about that, Zach. It's going to be really interesting to see old tires versus new tires, seeing him launch off. Like, if he did it like he does last time, it'll be great. But the Mark Whitley, I don't count anything against Mark or Ray Lane for that matter. They both have had great races so far, and they're especially Whitley. If I were in that position, it'd be like, oh, I led the race this entire time. I can't let it go just because of a couple of cautions and some strategies. So I can guarantee this next restart is going to be all fireworks.
Oh, it's definitely going to be fireworks, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a great time here so far. And right now, they got them all lined up, but the pace truck lights are still on, I believe. This means we should be getting a green white checkered, I believe, attempt here at this. So we'll see once that's official. But at the moment, Ian Baker, what a call by him to stay out here. He could, I mean, nowhere near a chance to win this race. You know, if he didn't make this call, this was the right call for that A machine. And shows you clean air, having the ability to start when you want and get that little bit of gap and a little bit of pressure off you can really help. Baker's coming in here off a top 3 from last week at Wilkesboro too, Carl. So coming off some momentum, this will build even more momentum for him there. As you know, he's pretty well off in points here coming into the night, so no real issue there for him. But this win would help solidify him for sure and give him a lot of boost going into the rest of the season.
Oh, definitely. And, everyone wants that win, even if you weren't in the playoffs. But, yeah, it looks like we are going to have a green-white checkered. It's going to be 2 to go as the truck crosses the line. So this is going to be a really wild finish to this race. We've seen it's a couple cautions for incidents, but its business has really picked up in this third stage. And yes, those lights are off on that pace truck. So we are going to go green this lap as they are all side by side. And it is going to be the way the green-white checkered works, ladies and gentlemen, is we'll have one attempt. If it goes green, then we get to the white flag, the last lap. The next flag will finish the race, whether it be the checkered flag or the yellow flag. So this is going to be really interesting to see how these guys behave and organize themselves through the first couple of laps. But as I'm talking here, and it's just going to be a wild restart with the 44 Ray Lane on the inside behind the 8 of Ian Baker. Mark Whitley in the 6 didn't get quite the restart he wanted to in the last restart a couple laps ago. But the 56, James Loveland, last year's winner here at this track, he's also looking to put another feather in his cap at this track. So don't count anyone out just yet. So the pace truck will be making a hard left here onto pit lane as we see him do right now. Just trying to anticipate, and here we go, and waiting. We see some games being played. Oh, and there's the launch by the 8. It's backed up that inside line just a little bit, but the 8 did not get the restart that he was hoping for, and the 6 was right on his bumper.
Yeah, I tell you what, he was hoping that right there would play out with the 44 side by side with the 6, but it puts the 44 side by side with Loveland, who makes the pass for third here, going down the back straightaways. We got a car back there in the grass hitting the wall. We're going to stay green here as we're going to look up to see possibly the white flag here as they come out of 4. Baker has the 6 closing in. It's going to be all about this here, Carl.
And it is the freaky fast white flag. 1 to go here at Chicagoland. We have Ian Baker leading, and hot on his heels is the 6 of Mark Whitley. And right behind him is the 56 of James Loveland. And that is your top 3. No one else can touch these guys. It is all them. The next flag will finish the race. We are going down the back straightaway. The 8 taking the inside line. The 6 taking that middle line, trying to maintain that momentum. The 56 right behind him. The 8's car coming out of turn 4. The checker flag in the air, and it will be the 8 car of Ian Baker taking the win here on strategy at Chicagoland for the Underdog Racing League. Wow, what a finish to this race, Zach. Nothing that I would have expected if you would have asked me, 20 laps ago. That was just spectacular.
That was a finish right there. And Ian Baker, what a call. I think that's going to be the whole story of the night. Ian Baker taking the chance here late in the race, staying out with about 5 lap to 6 lap older tires there. He holds on there with that caution cycles, and he gets a green white checker chance and brings it home and in the victory spot, man. That is a great job from this 8 machine, and what a way to win here late in the season after his first podium last week. He comes back here this week and gets that first win.
And you hit on it earlier, Zach. It's all about that momentum, and he was able to definitely use that momentum and translate that into success the following week. This is fantastic racing that we saw tonight, and he is just going to burn it down. He is definitely excited for this win tonight. It is just great to see that guy. He's been battling all year, had some incidents earlier on, but having to see a couple of good weeks put together back to back is just great to see. Well, we are going to take a step back, and when we come back, we are going to have a chat with all our podium finishers. Welcome back, and if you just were with us, we saw an exciting conclusion to this race with the Underdog Racing League here at Chicagoland Speedway. And right now, we're going to pull in the third place finisher of James Loveland. James, it is Carl and Zach here in the booth. You had overall a great race, finishing with the top 3, even though you won here last season. Take us through that last green-white checkered.
Yeah, I was just hoping to not crash or anything crazy, but yeah, it ended up working out really well. I got a good restart there and just managed to hold third. I wanted to do something there at the end to try to get the win, but I just didn't have a big enough run.
Yeah, James, I tell you what, man, still a good run nonetheless, man. Had a lot of long run speed again here. Once again, that 56 machine, man. But you decided to go a little bit longer with that pit strategy there to take the tires longer when you had the lead at that moment, right when you got to Mark Whitley. How do you feel like that would have played out if we did not get a yellow and we had that run out green? Because you were running down Ray Lane and Jason Finsler there coming down to the end. Do you feel like third was about what you were going to be, or do you feel like maybe it possibly could have ended up a little better for you if it would have stayed green?
Probably would have been better staying green. I know it would have been close. I definitely know I was catching them, but yeah, I don't know how it would have played out, but I was banking on it would be closer and try to run for the win. But those cautions came up and kind of changed the whole plan.
And cautions tend to do that. Before we had a lot of racing. We see some really sharp paint scheming. You want to give a shout out to tonight?
Shout out to you guys as always. Do a great broadcast. Shout out to the league. Racing keeps getting more intense every week. Fun. And shout out to Ian for the win. Congrats to his first win of the season.
Fantastic, James. Good luck next week, and good luck in your playoff run.
Alrighty. Thanks, guys.
That was third place of James Loveland. But the guy who led the most laps but ended up finishing second is Mark Whitley. Hey, Mark, it is Carl and Zach in the booth. You led the majority of the laps under attack by Jason Fensler, but the late race cautions ended up foiling your plans. Take us through that green-white checkered.
Yeah, I figured it was going to go green. The whole race had been pretty good on caution free, and Finsler undercut me, and I came out right behind him, but I don't know if he got the wall or whatever. And so I was able to get back by him, and I kind of pulled away. So I was just sailing. I was sitting there just cruising, and then the caution came out, about 10 to go, and I figure, well, been about 10 laps since I pitted, got an extra set, might as well use them. Came out fourth, avoided a very near catastrophe there with the 99 and Finsler. They got together. It gave me a 4X from Finsler, but I don't know. I don't know if it actually damaged my car or whatever. But then on that last green white checkered, I knew I needed to get a good restart, and I got about as good as I could have. But there weren't enough laps on his tires to make that much of a difference, and I was just I was giving it all I could, and it just wasn't enough. There wasn't enough difference on our tires. I really needed a few more laps. Kind of wish that last caution wouldn't have come out. I might have had enough to catch him there with about 4 or 5 to go on the green, but it would have taken pretty much a perfect restart for me, and I got about as close as I could have. So there wasn't really much more I could have done, unfortunately.
Yeah, Mark, I tell you what, a valiant effort there, buddy, to get back to second after leading all those laps tonight. But it definitely had to be under a lot of pressure for sure tonight. Definitely had the five of Jason Finsler there pressuring you for the majority of the night. How important do you think that clean air was to you, man? It seemed like he was really trying to get it from you there by undercutting you there, but it really worked out in your favor again by having a really good pit stop to come out right there behind him.
Yeah, I think clean air just in general right now on the whole iRacing service is pretty much king. If you get clean air, I'm not going to say it's impossible to pass you because it definitely can be done, but it's a lot harder. I know the first run, that first stage, I was trying to take it easy. I don't know if he was taking it extra easy. He started catching me a little bit at the end, but I was just kind of taking it easy, kind of riding the middle, try not to use the right front up. And I know that last stint there on that last stage, I could tell he was pushing it harder because I was pushing it. I was having to push it harder to keep in front of him. So I think we both understood the importance of it. And then I kind of thought we might be shot in the foot once we came out behind him under the green flag pit stops. But like I said, I don't know if he got the wall or something, but just seemed slower. Like it looked like he couldn't get off the corner as good, or his car didn't look as good after the pit stop. So I'm not sure what happened to him. If he got the wall, or maybe I don't know, didn't get enough gas, or I could tell his car just wasn't as good. So I was really trying everything I could to get around him. And then once we did, I figured we were going to be good. And the whole race had pretty much been clean and green. So I was just kind of hoping to cruise to another win. But I guess fate had another plan for us. It's kind of frustrating when you lead that many laps and you get outdone on strategy at the end out of nothing you could have do with it. So it's just one of those things. You just kind of have to take it and move on to the next race and just hope for better, I guess.
And you can never count out the cautions, and strategy is always one of those wild card things. But before we let you go here, Mark, anyone want to give a shout out to tonight?
Oh yeah, big shout out Harpoon Designs. Brantley Roden always got great paint schemes. He does all my stuff. Check him out, harpoondesign.com. He'll make you a brand new custom one if you want, or if you want to see just use some ones he's already done. Check out Trade and Paint. He's got a bunch of them on there, and got to give another shout out to my other sponsor, Shop Angry Duck. They're the one-stop shop for all your custom racewear, hats, t-shirts, hoodies. Pretty much anything you can think of, they can make a custom version of it for it. So hit them up, shopangryduck.com. And then last shout out to my wonderful family. They're always tuning in, always being a support group here. No matter if I come out here and lead all laps and finish second, or if I win the race, or if I finish dead last, they're always watching. They're always supporting. So got a big shout out to them. It's always great having them in my corner. And I guess actually one more last one to y'all. Y'all guys putting on a great broadcast. It's always fun to go back and watch. Freaky Fast is one of the best in the business, and I can't wait to go back and watch this. It might give me a little bit of heartbreak at the end, but the whole race should be pretty good to watch.
Well, definitely. Thank you for that, Mark. Wish you luck and congratulations on your second place finish.
Thanks. I don't know about congrats, but I'll take it.
And that was Mark Whitley's second place, as we were saying. But here's the moment you all been waiting for. The winner, number 8, Ian Baker. Ian, it is Carl and Zach in the booth. You used strategy, get out in front in those last 2 cautions, and you kept it. How critical were those restarts, especially that last restart for the green-white checkered, keeping your car out front and making sure that 6 car stayed behind you?
Yeah, those restarts were very crucial for the strategy I played. I had an incident there early and had to use a set of tires in my fast repair, so I didn't have a set of tires left. So my only option was really to run it as long as I could there on that green flag run and try and hope for a caution, which luckily came.
Yeah, it definitely did, Ian. And man, what a job holding them off there at the end. You got that extra caution there to shove it into green-white checkered zone. Seemed like those cautions definitely helped those tires cool down and get a little bit more life out of them that are coming down to the end. How tough was it to hold them off? And were you glad that yellow came out there at the end to get that green-white checkered?
Yeah, that green, white, checkered yellow was probably the most important one because I don't think I could have held off Whitley there with 10 to go. I think he had me with like 3 or 4 to go. Tires were just too big of a difference for me to keep him behind me.
And tires had made all the difference. But Ian, that was a great run, especially taking it from the leader who led all night long. Before we let you go, though, anyone you want to give a shout out to tonight?
Give a shout out to you guys for a great broadcast, and go back and watch and see how the race went for everybody. And shout out to the admins of the league keeping it going and running smooth. Racing gets better every week.
Well, fantastic. Congrats on the win, Ian. Good luck next week.
Thank you.
Well, that was our winner, and it was definitely a crazy race, especially there towards the end, Zach. We're going to pull up our race results, though. Ian Baker, of course, winning. Mark Whitley, second. James Loveland rounding out the podium. Finishing in fourth is a strong running Robert Rader in the 53. Ray Lane recovered from an EOL penalty at the beginning of the race to finish fifth. Dylan Walterman in sixth. Justice Murphy, action around him all night long, finishing in a strong 7th position. Nick Alves finishing 8th. Parker Johnson in the 48 finishing 9th, and Joey Stiers rounding out the top 10. With that last green and white checkered, the one who really checks my box down there is Jason Fenzer, finishing a lap down there in 22nd. Just a tough break for him. Was in second all race long and then just got caught up in stuff. Another one, Brandon Colley had issues early on, was finally able to recover and get on the lead lap, finishing 17th. So, Zach, this is a little wild, little crazy. Everything was saved towards the end for the action. What do you think about moving on for some of these guys?
Well, man, I tell you, some of these guys, they got some bright days heading forward here for them as they loom into their schedule, man. It's going to be a fun time for them here at the Underdog Race League, man. But congrats to Ian Baker. What a drive. I mean, that takes guts to make a call like that. As a racing driver myself, it does not come easy to say, all right, these 5-lap older tires, I'm going to be fine with them. Like you said, he didn't have any, so he kind of had to do what he had to do there. So it works out for him, man. I mean, what a call. It ends up playing out in the eight cars favor. But I tell you what, Mark Whitley, he was pretty dominant tonight, along with Jason Fensler. Those two looking good heading off here at the end of the season. Also, some other drivers who rebounded for some great finishes. So a good night here at Chicagoland for a few drivers that definitely needed it, Carl.
Oh, definitely. And that is why we race all the laps. Doesn't matter how long the race, how short the race, the track, whatever, but that is why we race all the laps that we do. So here we are at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Thank you for watching. Make sure you hit the like, that subscribe, follow us every time we go live. But until next time, we will see you later. And remember, keep it freaky fast.